is now finished. I will attempt to pick this up so you can see it. Good job these things are light. So it is very long, goes all the way down to there. So on me it touches the floor.
Hi guys, so this is just me doing the basic first colouring in of the butterfly for one of the colouring pages I had. I'll be doing a lot of adjustments through this, not all is caught on camera. It's just, this is what I do with my colouring pages. I do a quick run through, well not really quick, but I do a run through of the colours to see how it colours in, how it works, what sort of layout I like, so I can adjust any lines in areas that don't quite work. So the finished product of this actually looks very different than when it starts, but not everything has been caught on camera because I did change a few things after I finished filming. But as you can see, I've just coloured in the rainbow area for the centre of it. You can see the rest of the colouring page is still showing on it at this point, but I actually hide the rest of that at one point just so that it's easier to concentrate on the butterfly. But it's just colouring in, working out where I like my colours. You can see I'm moving some of the lines to make them more snugly fit the line so they're not over sticking out or in the wrong angle. I still make adjustments when I've finished it, but this gives me a rough idea of the major adjustments that need doing if something's not lining up or anything. So it's important that I always do a colouring test of every colouring page I create. And if I decide I really like the finished object, it goes up onto my RedBubble account. This particular butterfly in its fully finished and adjusted form is up on my RedBubble account, but there's some minor changes, especially in the colouring, compared to this finished object and the one that's gone up on RedBubble, because I made a few adjustments after that I found it's fit better and the flow better with it. But it's basically the same. So you can buy this colouring page with all of the background from me as well, so that you can just print it out. It comes as a PDF and you can just print that out and colour it in yourself. But I may do just the butterfly and the small butterflies as a standalone colouring page as well, instead of the one with all the background, so that way you can choose what you like, because there is a lot on that one. But as you can see, I'm just colouring all the way around, making sure they match both sides, because, you know, butterflies tend to match both sides. This takes a lot longer than it looks. This is actually sped up about 900%. And you'll notice at this point, I noticed there's a difference between the two sides, so now I'm adjusting it to try to get it closer to the look. It's not perfect, but it's definitely much closer than it was. Just more of the orange at the moment. There's not much more to say at the moment. I just zoom in and out every so often, double check where I've coloured to make sure I'm matching up properly, because those who know me well know my memory sucks, and so I often forget what I've done on the other side and have to have a look. For the first part of this, I do show colouring in both sides, but at some point I do switch over to only showing you colouring one side, and the other side I do off camera, because it was taking quite a long time to do and my computer just wasn't coping with filming and doing the work. It's quite memory intensive and my computer just can't handle that. So again, on this corner I'm just adjusting it so that it matches the other side better. So it's not anything major, but just these little changes just makes it look more polished and neater. You'll find on the finished product that these particular corners that I'm just colouring in, there is a colour change on the final project, so do check out for that. is more adjusting, making it match so it looks, because they didn't have quite the same amount of triangles there, so I wanted it to match more, because one only had 2, one had 3, so now they look more similar. These are more sisters than twins. I haven't got it all completely even because it is hand drawn, so, and I don't get everything perfect, as you notice, but I think that adds to the organic nature that is the life, so I think it's okay. I mean, as you see, those two shapes are reasonably different, but I kept them. It didn't bother me. So this section, I decided another rainbow section quite nice, so it ties the front part, the top part that I did originally, ties it into the bottom. So I tried to tie in each of the colours and things to give a good balance. So here I'm just adjusting more lines so that they all line up properly. But as you'll see, I often forget to deselect something before I change the colour, and then it changes it, so I have to change it back again. I do that a lot. But you see me zooming in really fast to make sure I've not missed anything, because it might look like it's coloured in from a distance, but as soon as you zoom in, like that red bit there, you can see, you can spot that it's not actually fully coloured. And that's not quite lined up there, so we're adjusting it again. And then just going back to colouring in. I do have my layers set so that I can go straight right up to the black lines and it won't, the black lines pop out over it. I find if I don't go up to the black lines, then it leaves a little white line on the finished product, which I don't like. So I have to go up. As you can see, as I zoom out on these ones, when I finish colouring one section, you'll notice the other side pops with the colour, then automatically done. That's where I've stopped filming and I've recoloured it in. You can see that more line adjustments there, and then just back to colouring it in again. The final piece, I do actually make some more adjustments to these so that it lines up a little better, because I wasn't happy on the final piece on these. So again, the piece that's on the RedBubble in the final colouring page is slightly different again, because it's just made it more neater, more straighter, more evenly spaced. Some more adjustments there, as you can see, just so that it looks better. Of course, when you have this colouring page, you don't have to use quite so many colours as I did. I just really liked rainbow butterfly ideas, so I did quite a lot of colour in it. You see, my circles aren't even or touching both edges on this. Again, this is something I adjust on the final piece, but for the quick basic colouring, it's not something I'm too worried about. Anything major I do change, but otherwise I just leave it, and then when I do the final piece, I make those much more even and touching each other equally so that it looks neater. I could get better circles if I used a specific tool to do it, but I just hand drew it because it seemed like fun. And I don't think most of you mind if the circles aren't perfect. See, I'm just making sure I spread that blue evenly around so that it gives a nice balance to the butterfly. You don't want it so that the blue's in one place and not the other, and it's not really evenly balanced. It can become quite heavy on one side, whereas if I spread it out evenly between them all, it makes the colours work better and not look so in your face. At least I think so anyway. This is just a nice light lemon yellow background that I put for the whole of the background of the top wing. I thought it would give a nice base colour for all the other colours to pop on. So I quite like it. I don't actually know what the colour code of this is, so please don't ask. I just picked a random colour, adjusted to what I wanted, and then used it. That's just checking to make sure I haven't missed anything, because as I said, once you're zoomed in you can see if you've missed anything. So zoomed in nice and far to make sure I'm not missing anything. The pen looks huge on some of this, but it's actually really tiny. We're just zoomed in really far. But I now match that colour down onto the bottom to make sure it's got a nice balance of the colour evenly spread out. And then pop to the other side being done. Now I've decided to put that yellow on the background of the circles on the edge of the butterfly. I don't know what they're called. I just think that helped tie that section into it as well, so it shows as a coherent piece. And as you can see on this, the circles aren't all perfect and lined up, and there's some with bigger gaps than the other, but that gets adjusted in the final piece that I redraw after this, because the whole piece does get redrawn in a much bigger size for the RedBubble, but I can't film colouring in that one in because it's such a big size that the computer just goes, nope, not happening, not working. So I have to fit colour in these pieces as smaller pieces to film and then redo them all off camera for the actual finals piece. Again, these bits have been heavily adjusted on the final piece to make them even more even. They've been adjusted during this, as you'll see me doing it, but they have been further adjusted because, as you can see, some of them were quite uneven when I started, but they're not perfect, and I'm not going for perfect. It's a little bit of fun, you know. So each time I zoom out, I'm just looking to see where I think the colour would look good to balance out and what I want to do in what area next. So by this point I've actually been working on this for many hours. Videos at about 13-14 minutes at the moment. This is probably about 4 or 5 hours minimum's worth of work by now. I haven't actually added up the proper time. I mean, you probably could do the math yourself if you like. At 14 minutes and this is 900% speed, so you could work that out. You can probably notice there's a delay in my pen movement to the colour filling in, and that's where my computer's struggling to cope with it all. I need to buy some more RAM. I will do at some point. So here I'm just trying to find a green. I knew I wanted a green, but I wanted something specific, but I couldn't quite place it, so I had to try a few different colours until I settled on this one, and that's the one that I decided I really did quite like, because it's nice and light and very subtle green. So that's the sort of colour that I was going for. So I knew what I wanted, I just didn't know the colour code, so it's kind of trial and error until you find it. Again, I'm zooming in and out just to check where I'm going, what I need to do, and again I'm moving that spiral piece just to make it a little more correct position. So there's always going to be minor adjustments going through this whole thing. Just gives me a really good base to start the proper sized one on, because I will use this one blown up is the larger size to trace over to create the new one. I just can't make this one into the bigger one because it's not something that my computer can handle. So we've not got much left on this now. I've made some more adjustments after, which you'll see for this actual section. Once I finalised colour for one of the pieces, I decided it needed to be tied in more, which you'll see in a minute. Because I think we've only got 1 or 2 colours left. See, there's a few adjustments needed there because they weren't really lining up properly, so I just play with them until I get it right. Yeah, you'll see me putting that colour up to the top now to give that balance as well, because we need to have the colour from the top and the bottom to make it more flowy. Flowy's not the right word. What's the right word? I don't know. Okay, so this yellow is one that after I finished I do change my mind and it does get changed, but I don't think I recorded it, so you won't see that. This bit does stay yellow, it's just those triangle bits that get changed. I decided those bits needed a nice big colour pop, which is why I went with the red. And then these bits I tried a few different colours and changed in shape. Again, these shapes get heavily changed on the final piece. But I was playing around to see what sort of thing I wanted to get while I was doing it, and you'll see I choose several different colours before I settle on one that I like. I'm still going to change them, they're not that coloured permanently. So I zoom in and decide I don't like that, it's not looking right, so I change it again, and I still don't like it, so I'm about to change it again. Don't like that, so I change it again. There we go, and I settle on the yellow. The pink and the yellow is what I settle on. I think that looks quite nice. But I really do like that pink. It might be my favourite colour in this whole thing, but it's not something I could have used large amounts of because it is quite bright. Just adjusting the circles again. Again, you can see they're not particularly even and great, but they will be changed on the main proper one. But rough ideas of what they look like is helpful. Then I'm matching it down the bottom so we've got the colour that balances in with it. Again, this is quite a lot of pink on this, but I like it. I know a lot of people will probably go with much more subtler colours, but I really like colour pop. And this is the final colouring, and this is where I realised I needed a better colour balance for the bottom, which I didn't have a space for. So after I finished colouring these in, you'll see I make another adjustment to the bottom shapes to fit a black in for balance. And the yellow triangles on the top corners, they actually become black to match this, so that those top corners of the orange and black can all match and tie in. I actually forgot to film the finished black as well, so you won't actually see the other side coloured in, because it's a twit. But I will make sure I put a thumbnail of the finished picture so you can actually see what it does look like. This is where I'm just adding in the extra lines so that I can create the black outside edge so that it ties in with the top, because at the moment the black on the top was making the butterfly look a little top heavy. This kind of balances it back out. And then just adjusting those black lines so that they all line up, and then I will start colouring them in. As you see, I completely missed on that one, so this is why I realigned, because I often miss a line when I draw things. It's almost finished now. As I said, I forgot to film colouring in the other side of this, so you won't see the other side done. So this is basically it done now for the video, but you see it looked much better in the balance. I'll put the thumbnail in though so you can see that.